Hey, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about influencer contracts again, and this time I'll be covering rush fees and kill fees, as well as a few other things you may want to consider when pricing your rates as an influencer, because let's face it, negotiating with brands can be confusing, regardless if you've been navigating brand deals for years or are totally new to the industry. And because there are so many terms to be on the lookout for when negotiating contracts with brands, I created an entire playlist called Influencer Contracts to help you understand some of these terms, like usage rights in perpetuity, exclusivity, whitelisting, and more. So if you want to learn about some of the other terms that you'll come across in the contracts you sign with brands, make sure to watch the videos in that playlist next. So let's be honest, the influencer marketing industry is not going anywhere anytime soon. In fact, it's growing pretty rapidly. And with that said, there are more and more really well-paid opportunities than ever before for influencers and content creators everywhere. However, while this industry is currently valued at $16 billion and brands are consistently increasing their influencer marketing budgets for sponsored campaigns, many influencers are still underpaid. So why is this? Well, negotiating paid brand deals requires some savvy negotiating skills, something that many new influencers don't really have a lot of experience with. Many, maybe you included, don't know how to properly price their rates for sponsored content, or even push back in negotiations when necessary, or, well, walk away from a deal when a brand clearly isn't worth their time. And the truth is, many brands will try to offer as little compensation as possible. So unless you're confident in setting your rates and pricing your work, well, you may not be paid as well as another influencer who is up to speed on this. So let's get you up to speed too. So I've personally had a lot of conversations with influencers over the years, through DMs on Instagram and by email through my agency, as well as in person and more recently inside the members area. And it's become crystal clear that many brands, not all, but some, really don't grasp how valuable influencers are to their brand. And they definitely don't seem to understand how much time, skill, and effort it actually takes influencers to create content. And so that's why, in my opinion, you'll sometimes see brands approach influencers with low or even unpaid opportunities. So, in my opinion, you really need to make it clear to brands where your final rate comes from, because there really are a lot of factors that calculate into it, right? So for example, rush fees. So today let's talk about rush fees and kill fees, as well as a few other fees that you can include in your rates for sponsored posts. By the way, if you're new here, hey, I'm Jay, and I'm the creator of 11th Street Studio Influencer Agency. If you'd like to join our private influencer community to partner with brands that are looking for influencers like you, make sure to click the link below this video to get on our VIP influencer email list. And if you'd like to learn about all of our full-length e-courses for influencers, including how to grow organically on Instagram, how to price your rates, and how to negotiate brand deals, click the link below this video to check out our private members area. Also, we're currently offering the first 500 members the chance to join the 49 Forever plan, meaning as long as you're a member, you can access all of the e-courses, full resource library, and private community to chat with other members and myself for only $49 a month, even when we add more e-courses and resources and the price increases. Okay, so if you want to join at that price, make sure to enter the discount code 49Forever at checkout. Just make sure you join soon though, because new members are joining every day, and that price will go away once we have 500 members. Okay, so now is a really good time to get in. Okay, back to the video. So, what are rush fees and kill fees, and why are they important? Well, let's start with rush fees. So, rush fees are exactly what they sound like, a fee that you can charge brands that approach you with a partnership opportunity and request a super quick turnaround on the deliverables. Now, as you probably know, most influencers have multiple partnerships in place for weeks, if not months in advance, meaning their content calendars are full. Not to mention, they have regularly scheduled photo shoots for organic, non sponsored content. And all of this is pre planned and scheduled out, again, weeks in advance with apps like Planoly, for example, so that everything looks cohesive, right? So when brands approach you with these rush jobs, for lack of a better term, it's really important to consider your prior time commitments. When a brand requests a turnaround time of less than 2 weeks, well, they fully expect that they'll need to pay you a rush fee, trust me. Because let's say you, for example, have a posting schedule of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and in between those days, you're batching your work. So you're shooting content, editing content, writing captions, pitching brands, answering other brands' emails, and also planning and scheduling out all your previously shot and edited content to go out. And then, out of nowhere, a brand approaches you and wants you to stop all of that to shoot new content for them, edit it, brainstorm and write captions to go along with it, and push your already scheduled content off to make room for theirs on your profile. Well, that's costing you time, and time is money. So don't hesitate to charge them for last minute requests. Okay? Because whether you're doing this part time or full time, your time is very valuable. Therefore, if a brand inconveniences you in terms of time frames, be sure to charge extra. And this is especially important to consider during really busy times of the year too. So for example, during the holiday season. So think, like the Christmas rush or Black Friday or Cyber Monday, when again, time is literally money. Now, if you're wondering what to charge for rush fees, well, personally, I've found that many influencers charge an additional 10% of the final rate. Okay, so what you charge is something that ultimately you need to decide for yourself. But remember, this is in the event that you can squeeze the partnership in. If your calendar is full, well, you can always ask the brand for an extension instead, or let them know when you are available for the partnership. But in my experience, if a brand is in a rush, they're also willing to pay you whatever it takes to get the deliverables when they need them. So think about it this way. In the influencer industry, you essentially work as a freelancer in a way, right? So in that scenario, the brand would be your client. Now remember, I spent a little over 10 years in the marketing and blogging industry before I launched my influencer agency. And every time a brand client requested a quick turnaround on deliverables, so anything less than like 10 business days, I included a rush fee in the invoice. Okay? And brands expected that. So keep in mind that this is totally normal in the corporate world and isn't any different in the influencer world. Okay? Okay. With that said, what I've noticed over the years is that many brands take advantage of the fact that a lot of influencers don't know that a rush fee is normal for expedited jobs and can get very demanding about getting deliverables on their timeline without properly compensating influencers for the quick turnaround. Okay, so if a brand approaches you last minute and asks you for a quick turnaround, you can absolutely charge a rush fee. And while you're at it, if you're on the FYPM website, you can mention that in your review of the brand along with what they paid you for the sponsored post. And if you're not, well, I can't encourage you enough to create an account because you can see exactly what other influencers are being paid for brand deals once you're approved. And no, they're not sponsoring this video. I just 100% support what they're doing to help influencers. So I'll put a link below this video if you want to check that out. Okay, so before sending over any rates, always make sure to ask what the desired turnaround time is for the campaign first. Okay, now that we've covered rush fees, let's chat about kill fees. So essentially, a kill fee is a fee that protects influencers financially from deals that go south, so to speak. And you're most apt to charge this when entering into a contract that requires exclusivity. Okay, so many influencers will include a kill fee for termination of a brand deal without cause, meaning it's intended to keep the brand on the hook to pay you, the creator, something if, God forbid, they cancel the deal for a reason other than your personal breach of the contract. So here's the thing. Kill fees can be a significant sticking point in negotiations because when you sign a contract requiring exclusivity, it prevents you from entering into deals with other competing brands, therefore limiting other revenue opportunities that come your way. Okay, so kill fees get negotiated based on various factors. So for example, the length of exclusivity and time frame in which the cancellation occurs, and are typically based on a percentage of the total fee that would otherwise be paid to you, the influencer. Okay, so keep this in mind because the last thing you want to do is sign a contract, add that partnership to your calendar, turn down new incoming brand deals that could take place in that time frame, and then at the very last minute have the brand cancel the partnership. That has the potential to put you in a bad spot financially, right? So please don't hesitate to negotiate a kill fee into the deal so that you're paid regardless of the outcome. Now listen, I totally understand that this can all sound very complicated because really it is. And that's why I always recommend that influencers have their contracts reviewed by a lawyer before signing anything. Okay, so don't hesitate to do so yourself. And if you need a lawyer or are currently searching for one, I highly recommend my friend Dan Cogero, who's an attorney in the state of New York and specializes in intellectual property. So I'll go ahead and put his contact info below this video for anyone who wants to reach out to him because you can never be too careful, right? Okay, now let's quickly chat about a few other fees that may come up in contracts, starting with reshoot fees and asset revision fees. So these can often get overlooked in negotiations, but they're important, especially if you come across picky brand clients. So reshoot fees are exactly what they sound like, right? If a brand asks you to reshoot content more than once, and on a side note, some influencers don't even allow for one reshoot without an extra fee. You can absolutely charge an additional fee. So for example, 15% for the extra effort and stress involved. And the same goes for any revisions. So copy, for example. Now, another fee I want to mention that will be important in the upcoming months is the seasonal content fee. So if you've worked on paid brand collabs, you know that campaigns essentially come in waves throughout the year, right? And on a side note, that's why I always teach in the e-courses to build multiple income streams. Because landing paid brand deals isn't always consistent throughout the year. And so you always want to have other income sources to rely on during those times. Don't hesitate to include a seasonal content fee for deals that fall in the holiday season. The thing is, marketing campaigns always revolve around consumer habits. So it's important to leverage the demand for content at certain times of the year and strongly negotiate brand collabs during demanding seasons. And I think it goes without saying that the highest demand for influencers is undoubtedly during the holiday season. So don't be afraid to charge more at that time. And this goes for bloggers too, especially food bloggers. It usually starts with back to school and then, goes into Halloween, Black Friday, and Christmas, and typically ends around the new year. So typically the height of the season is from Black Friday through Christmas. So brands will have an increased demand to hire influencers and creators during late summer into fall. Okay, so this is an opportunity for you to really take advantage of that demand and negotiate higher rates for campaigns, especially if a brand is insisting you rush a campaign like we talked about earlier. Okay, and after that, you want to also calculate any payout terms. I personally love to negotiate the payout terms. So depending on the brand, they will have standard payout times for their influencers. So maybe net 30 or net 60 days after the receipt of the invoice. And some brands will pay immediately. Okay, so this too is something that you can discuss with the brand and something that can be negotiated, especially when there's a higher demand, like during the holiday season. Another fee that many influencers work into contracts are late payment fees. So if possible, you should try to keep brands accountable for paying you on time. So as a blogger, I always included a late payment fee. And I know that a lot of influencers do this as well. So if the payment is net 30, for example, and they haven't paid you and it's day 35, well, you can send an invoice with a late payment fee. So, for example, in one of my prior partnerships, a PR agency agreed to pay me an additional 2% fee if the payment was late by a period of more than 5 business days. Okay, so don't hesitate to include that in your negotiations too. Another way influencers negotiate payout terms is in how the brand sends payment. So many will pay via direct deposit or check, whereas some pay via PayPal. So before signing a contract, make sure you get the payout terms from the brand so that you're not responsible for any fees upon payment, like with PayPal, for example. And if there are any processing fees, well, you can add that to your final rate. Okay, I think that covers everything I wanted to mention in this video. And remember, there's a lot more to calculate, like usage rights, exclusivity, whitelisting, and more, which you can learn about in the other videos in the Influencer Contracts playlist. So with all this said, other than knowing your rates, you also need confidence to stand behind them. Okay, so in order to successfully negotiate brand deals, you need to know when to push back on an offer and when to compromise, right? And if a brand isn't willing to arrive at a compromise that's comfortable for you, well, don't hesitate to walk away so that you can save your time and energy for better partnerships. Okay? Because it's really not benefiting you to leave money on the table when you negotiate brand collabs. Now, with that said, also remember that negotiation skills takes practice. The more you get comfortable with it, the more you'll build your confidence to know where to draw the line on what's mutually beneficial in a partnership. So make sure you keep all of these things in mind. And if there's anything I want you to take away from this video today, it's this. Some brands will waste your time. There's really no getting around that. Not all brands will really understand your value and what you bring to the table. Now, that's 100% their loss. So whatever you do, don't take it personally. It's really on them for not hiring marketers that are up to speed, right? Okay, but on that note, some brands know exactly what they're trying to get away with. So don't fall for it. What I'd love for you to do instead is to really be on the lookout for red flags so that you can walk away from risky brand collabs and focus your time on the things that will make you money instead. So be it another brand collab or something else entirely, like creating more content for your feed so that you can consistently grow, because that too will benefit you financially long term. So don't let brands waste your time, because your time is very valuable and you need to use it wisely. So focus on spending your time creating content and connecting with your audience, working on really well-paid collaborations and working on other things that you can earn an income from. So, for example, digital products or affiliate links. Whatever it is, just focus on that. And in time, you won't have any problem turning down questionable brand collabs because you'll know exactly what you'll lose by doing so. And if it helps, go ahead and calculate the time that you could spend on one questionable brand collab and what you would be paid for that, and then compare it to what you will earn by focusing on the really high paying brand collabs instead. And by all means, read your contracts thoroughly so that you don't inadvertently give away anything for free, like usage rights in perpetuity, for example. Okay, that is it for today's video. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had a brand ask you to rush a partnership. I'd really love to know. I've personally been asked maybe 10 to 15 times this year. Also, before you go, remember to check out the influencer contracts playlist to learn about other terms that come up in influencer contracts. And of course, remember to check out the members area and enter the discount code 49forever to join while the price is discounted, because it will increase once we have 500 members, and I don't want you to miss out. Also, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And of course, if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so that you don't miss any future videos. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.